everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. Don't wait for extraordinary opportunities. Instead, seize common occasions and make them great. That is exactly what we're going to talk about on the podcast today. It's not about waiting for the perfect time, for the perfect moment, waiting until you're ready. It's about doing the thing right here, right now, understanding that the time to make big things happen is here and now. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week. Guys, it is rib making season. Can I get an amen? Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that ribs can be made any season. Hello, delicious. But we're bringing it out. Short ribs hash tacos. Go to the show notes before you leave the episode today and be sure to check out that recipe card because it's pretty freaking delicious, y'all. Just saying. Okay, that was quick. Let's jump right into what we got going. And I have to apologize. Going in and out of different seasons here in Colorado, I've never really had allergies, but I think it's becoming a thing, on top of the fact that I am currently training for my first ever DECA Fit, doing the individual and the teams. The running with my asthma doesn't always go well. So anyways, I kind of sound like crapola. So if my voice starts to go a little bit out, if I start to sound like a man, I apologize ahead of time. I promise it's still me. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the real reason why you came here, not to talk about my manly voice, but to talk about doing the thing. I don't know how many of us are waiting on the sidelines right now for, again, that perfect moment, the perfect time to actually come. But I want to share a story with you that I hope inspires you to not only continue to listen to the rest of this podcast, but after this podcast, take what I'm about to tell you and put pedal to the metal. Like, stop holding yourself back and make the time for big things right here, right now. And so I was chatting with some of the gym buddies, and I had come to find out that for the DECA Fit, which, let me wind up. This is my first DECA Fit ever. If you were not familiar with DECA, I'm shocked that you weren't familiar, because if you listen to this podcast, I probably talk about it every single week. But I am a DECA Strong specialist, which means that I like to do the 10 zones as fast as I possibly can without any running in between. The DECA Fit is the complete opposite. The DECA Fit is basically a 5K mixed in with all of the 10 zones. So for me, I've never been like, oh, yay, I love running. I am a runner, therefore I'm going to do the fit. That has never been my thing. But I told myself walking into this year that, like, I didn't necessarily want to, like, be, like, the best at these events, but I wanted to try. I wanted to show myself that I could do it and just shock myself, right? That's ultimately what I'm here for. And so I signed up a couple months ago for this event that's happening in Colorado for the first time in, like, a really long time. And I signed up for age group because, well, A, that's what I competed at World Championships, and B, I've never seen myself again as a runner, as someone that could compete in the elite wave. So I was like, I'm not even going to mess around with that. Even though I am very good at DECA, I didn't see myself in that light. Excuse me. And so I did that a couple months ago. Well, flash forward, I was having a conversation with some of my gym buddies, and they had mentioned that there was only a select amount of individuals that were signed up for elite. And when I say this, I didn't say this because I was like, oh, that means I'll get on the podium. I should for sure just switch to elite. That was something that someone brought up to me after the fact, and I was like, I could care less about the podium, right? When I heard that, what I had thought about was, there's a lot of room for this, and what a great opportunity for me to chase people that are right here in my own backyard without a ton of pressure. That was my first thought that went through this. The second thought that went through this was, if I ever want to be an elite athlete in this sport, if I want to see myself go elite at the end of this year for World Championships, why am I waiting to do it then? Why am I not putting myself into the fire right now to put myself in that mental, emotional, and physical space? Why am I racing at an age group level that I know would be super comfy for me? The chances of me winning will probably be up there anyways. what's the difference? What am I actually going to gain being an age group? Versus if I was to do elite, how would I show up differently? How would I race differently? What would I learn? Who would I become after the fact? What kind of confidence would I have after the fact? I started having this conversation with myself, and I was like, again, this has nothing to do with the fact of whether there's 1 girl signed up or 6 girls signed up. This has to do with the fact of I am on a mission to be the best athlete and the best human being that I can be. By being comfortable and racing in a group or in a category that I know that probably really wouldn't the only thing that'd be pushing me is the race itself, because I'd never done it. Now I have not only the race pushing me, I have an opportunity to chase down people, which, hey, I really love to do. But I'm like, if I'm really looking at my bigger goal in the long term, why am I not going after this? And so I talked to customer service, I talked to the race people, and I was like, the race people, the race director. And I was like, look, here's the situation. Is there a way that I can switch? And they were like, absolutely. So as of last Thursday, I had this conversation with myself. Literally within like a couple of hours, I was signed up for the Elite Wave. And so not this weekend, but the following weekend, I'm going to be racing my very first, not only DECA Fit, but very first Elite Wave ever. And yes, I'm absolutely terrified because, you have like your own expectations of yourself. You have your doubts. You have your beliefs about yourself, right? You have the fact that you're stepping into the complete unknown without any idea of what this race is going to feel like because you've never done it before, right? Outside of the fact that you have done the stations, you've never done this very specific race before. So there's just a lot of things that are in the unknown for me. But I'm really proud of myself for doing this, not just for signing up for the race, but for deciding to do this because I know that regardless of whether or not I do really well or not, that there's going to be something even bigger and better that's going to come out of it that will prepare me for 6 months down the road when I'm at that starting line, getting ready to race the best of the best in the entire world. I won't be there for the first time being like, oh, I don't fit in, I don't belong. It's going to be like, no, like I've been here before. I know what this feels like, and I know what to do, and I know how to execute. And that's ultimately why I decided to do this. And so I wanted to just do this little pep talk with some coaching moments for those of you that are in a similar position, not necessarily that has to do with the race, but maybe you're waiting on the sidelines of your life to make this decision, to go after it, to do the thing. And you're waiting for the right moment, the right time, you to be at the specific spot in your life. No. My friend, the time is here and now, and I want to give you some coaching moments and some inspirational talk to get you to realize how precious of a moment this is that you have this opportunity in front of you and how to actually get up, stop resting on your laurels, and go for it. And I've been saying this so many times, but the first thing that I want to say, you guys, is seriously, you will never, ever, ever be 100% ready. So stop waiting for that. Stop making that your measure in order to go after the thing. We wait to know it all. We wait to be it all. We wait to have it all accomplished and have this built out perfect resume as some sort of proof for others and for ourselves that we are finally ready, that we could finally go and do the thing. So therefore now we are granted this opportunity. When all we are doing by doing that is taking ourselves away from what the actual goal is, and we're delaying ourselves that. It doesn't mean, though, that if you decide to go and do the thing, that you have to jump in all the way, right? Like, obviously, this time, I had to jump. It's either I was going to sign up for Elite or I wasn't going to sign up for Elite. It was neither or. But in most circumstances, you guys, just making the decision to go after it doesn't mean you have to go all the way into the pool. That you can dip a toe in and then start to dip your foot and your ankle and then the rest of your leg, right? And then you just start to naturally jump in. Because here is the fact, is 9 times out of 10, it is not the what that we are afraid of. It's not the outcome. A lot of the times it's actually what we're craving is the outcome. We are actually afraid of the lack of knowing that we have around the how to get there. Well, if we just take one step and we learn a little bit, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, then we automatically have the next things, the next options unfold to us. But if we never dip the toe in, those options never show themselves. So all of that to say is just by merely dipping the toe in, not only are you going to learn, but that how that you're afraid of, it's going to start to become a little bit more realistic because you're going to start asking yourself better questions. You're going to start getting better answers. You're going to start realizing the actual opportunities there are. You're going to start putting yourself in those places and spaces that are going to breed that creativity, that flow. But again, if all you're doing is holding yourself at that sideline, you don't get the opportunity to do that. And I'll tell you what, you'll never be ready then. This is the funny thing I want to tell you today, okay? You know the quote where it's like, well, you're not getting any younger, so you might as well do it. I agree with that. You are not getting any younger. However, instead of you're not getting younger, you're definitely not getting any freaking wiser. Can I get an amen to that? You are not getting any wiser by staying on the sidelines. All you're doing is getting more stagnant and more doubtful. And that does not breed confidence. That does not breed belief. That breeds the exact opposite. At least when you go and you dip the toe, you're getting some sort of feedback, right? And if you just see it as feedback and you don't see it as right or wrong or failure or success, then it makes it so much more it makes it better, right? It makes it more palatable. So all of that to say, you guys, no matter how much education you have, no matter how much experience you have, yes, those things help, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying for those of you that have a built out resume and a ton of success that is invalidated. It's not. However, in this specific circumstance, there's never going to be a moment in time at all when you're ever going to be 100% ready. So stop waiting for it and go make yourself ready instead. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. The next thing that I want to say is when you're making this decision and you're starting to go through all the different thoughts in your head, make your reason why you're doing this stronger than your doubts. For me, the doubts that I had was, again, that I wasn't ready, that I've never done this race before, that I'm not a runner, right? There was 1.5 million things of like, oh, it would have just definitely been easier, more comfortable, probably would have made more sense, right, to go and race age group. But my reasons for why I wanted to do it, as you heard, were so much stronger. It had nothing to do with the success or the winning or the podium automatically or not automatically. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that I'm thinking of the Kayla that I want to be in the future and how stepping up to this plate and putting myself in the fire for right now, how that's going to build me for the person that I want to be. And so for me, that is going to pull me a hell of a lot more than all of those other doubts around, well, I'm not ready. This isn't my race. I've never done this before. Fill in the blank. So in this moment, you have to make your reason why you were doing this so much stronger than your doubts. And if you honestly can't even think of a very good reason why, well, then great, don't do it. Because the why that you might be doing it might have to do with other people, to prove yourself to others. That is not a reason to do a race, to do anything in life, right? It should be for yourself. Your why should be so strong that, like, yes, even though training isn't always fun, putting in the work isn't always the best feeling, there still should be something that's like, you know what, this doesn't feel great, but I'm doing this because it's more important. So it's just another gut check moment in the road for you of like, if you don't have something that's a strong enough why, then maybe this isn't the thing you should be putting your time and energy to. But if you're just sitting there getting swallowed up by your doubts, well, then it's time to really dig deep into that why and make that 20 times stronger than any sort of doubt that could cross your mind, and realizing that, again, those doubts aren't going to go away. They're going to keep hitting you one after another after another. I'm sure the week leading up to it, and probably the moments leading up to it, my internal voices, my inner critic is going to be going wild. But you know what's going to also be going wild is that voice that's telling me, think about the person you want to be. What is the story that you want to tell? What are you building right here? I'm going to listen to that voice. Okay. And I can tell you that voice is not only going to take me to the finish line, but it's going to allow for me to do the best race for what it is that I have available in the tank right here and right now. Okay. The next thing, and I've said this already even a couple of times too, is show up as her now if you ever want to be her then. And when I say then, I mean in the future. So I've already talked about how just merely signing up for the race, right, is preparing me for the future self that I want to be. But I don't want to talk about just signing up for the race. I also want to talk about the attitudes and how I'm going to show up on the day of. Because again, we all know that our inner critics are going to go wild. Again, I just said I know that mine is. But what I noticed is that even when I signed up for the race is, again, all of those like less than thoughts, all of those I'm scared, I'm terrified, those were overpowering this amazing decision that I just made that's going to highly benefit myself, right? So right now I get this amazing opportunity to put in the work, to work through that mentally and build that reason why, to build that belief, and then to show up on race day and show up as the person that I want to show up as, and start to build myself into the person that I want to show up as then, later this year at World Championships. And one thing that made all the difference was that I had to stop putting the pressure on racing like XYZ, to stop showing up as all of these other people to try and run their race, because that's not what mattered. That's not the reason that I'm doing this. And I can tell you that's not going to help me run my best race. What I started to put my focus on is showing up as myself, the elite racer, right? How would Kayla, the elite racer, show up? And granted, I've never been there before. This is new uncharted territory for me. This is like my breakout year, right? Where I've won several competitions this year. I don't know how to win. I've never really won. So this is all new to me. But you know what's beautiful about that is I get to build that. I get to think and I get to daydream and I get to create what it is that I want to create, because I said yes to this opportunity. So now I get the chance to be like, yeah, how does the elite racer show up? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Who is that? Like, how does Kayla, the elite racer, want to show up? That feels so cool and so empowering, asking myself that question rather than the coulda, the shoulda, I'm not goodified, I'm not goodified, I'm not good enough, I'm terrified, right? All of the things. So notice how I'm asking myself better questions. Again, to go back to the original point, show up as her now. Show up as him now if you ever want to be that person then. And ask yourself, how would fill in your name show up as the fill in the blank? Ask yourself that question. Go wild. Brain dump it out. And see what comes forth for you. And get excited about it. Because also, here's the other thing that I've learned is a lot of those things that you write down, they're already within you. You just need the amazing opportunity to pull it out of yourself. And what a gift that I was able to talk myself into doing this thing so I get to watch that person get to be brought out. It's freaking awesome. Like, I just got the goosebumps. I'm so excited about it. And one of the last things that I want to mention that I think is so incredible about this opportunity, and what could be so incredible for you as well too, is understanding the power of proximity and the environment that you immerse yourself in. If I was to race an age group, I would race at the age group level, right? I would give as much as my competitors gave, which at the age group level, and I'm not saying there's not amazing age group athletes. I have been an age group athlete, and there's some phenomenal women that I get to compete against. It's absolutely amazing. But I would walk into it with an age group race mindset. If I was to compete, which I am now, as an elite racer, well, now I'm going to approach it and race at an elite level. Do you see the difference here? The power of proximity and the power of the environments that you choose to immerse yourself in will be the reason that you either go to destination A or destination B. Give yourself the gift of immersing yourself in an environment that is going to be conducive to the person that you want to be, to the outcomes that you want to achieve. If you continue to put yourself at a moderate level, you're going to get moderate results. If you put yourself at a higher level, will you produce the highest results? Maybe not on your first shot, but will you maybe stretch yourself further than you would have if you just put yourself at the moderate level? Absolutely. I would 100% guarantee that. So again, if you really think about it, if you have a goal that is around a specific outcome, around doing something specific for yourself, is by putting yourself in the environment that's like, hey, I would still have fun and I'd still be challenged, but it would not be nearly as challenging if I went after this. You got to think of which one's going to get you to your goal, not just even faster, but in the more beneficial way. Okay, so don't forget the power of proximity and the environment that you immerse yourself in. And this is where I want to leave you today, is with a mic dropping text from my training partner when I told him about the fact that I signed up for the Elite Wave. And I was kind of going through like these thoughts of like, oh, I'm really excited, but I'm also really nervous, Like, ultimately, I just want to put this whole thing of people thinking that I can't run, or putting this idea in my head that I can't run, that I can't do this event. Like, I just want to put this whole running shit to rest, because I get picked on about it and I pick on myself about it. And then I bring it more onto myself, so therefore I get picked on even more about it, and I'm just tired of it. Like, I want to put it to rest, and I want to show myself that I'm a well-rounded athlete and I could do the thing. And what Dave came back and told me is, he said, the moment you tell yourself that you can run is the moment that you put it to rest. Races are good for proving things to other people. They're not necessary for proving things to yourself. And that like gives me so much goosebumps and happy tears to my eyes, because like, I don't need to go run this race to prove to myself that I can run. By merely showing up and making the decisions to push myself, to challenge myself mentally, emotionally, physically, to therefore lead to these training sessions that are going to put me in a completely different mindset and a completely different challenge level than if I was just to do what I know that I could do. I'm just going to cross the finish line in the age group and see how I do. No, I am proving to myself right now that I am capable of anything that I put my mind to, because I'm showing up and I'm doing it all the dang time. I don't need a race. I don't need an outcome to show me that. I just need pure will and belief in myself in order to have that confidence to take the first step, right? Just like I said at the beginning, to take that first step, to dip my toe into the water and then figure out what's next. And then make the next best decision, and then make the next best decision after that. And by merely doing that, I know that I'm going to get to where I want to be. And I know by you doing that too, that you're going to get exactly where it is that you are meant to be. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I really do hope that this episode helped. And if it did, please do not hesitate to pass this along to a friend or family member that needs to hear this, so that they go all in on their dreams as well too. Until next time, you guys, I got a big competition this weekend. It's starting off the flow of basically 4 weeks of just absolute madness for me. So I am sure that I will have even more to share with you about life, about racing, about all the things coming up next week. But if you do have topics that you'd like for me to talk on, please don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media, send me a text. Would love to hear from you. But again, until next time, enjoy your guys' Taco Tuesday, and I'll see you guys next week. See you then.